to this Microsoft Word hands-on application where I'm going to show you some of the professional tips and tricks that will really help you distinguish your work from the regular Word user. I would encourage you to go to my website, www.sandymcveigh.com, and download the handout from my Word class, What MS Word, What Professionals Need to Know, so that you can follow along and repeat this because practice and application is the best way to learn. So if you open up the document, you'll see that it's a 6-page document that takes you through some of the most important things that I think will make a document stand out. So the first thing that I have here is a cover page. So if I click on this cover page, you're going to see something called a placeholder. It says title in it. They are helpful because they keep your document looking consistent. They can add a date. If you put in one of these nice little cover pages, you get the placeholders and you can add things, and they're very nice. What you can't do is to hit the return in a placeholder. So if I wanted my title to come down here on the second line and I hit enter, I can hit enter all day. I can hit alt enter. So it goes back to the really not professional way of hitting the space bar until the right words roll down to the second line. But what if I didn't want this placeholder at all? Some people will go in here. Here's another one. It says the abstract, and it was developed by me. Let's say I just wanted to take out this text, and I delete the text, and that's fine, and it feels like it's gone, and sometime later I will come back and this little abstract thing will still be here. It doesn't print, it doesn't show, but I just don't want it to be here at all. And you can hit the delete key several times, and sometimes you'll get lucky and it'll go away. But the best way, the most consistent way to handle placeholders if you don't want them anymore is to click on the tab for the placeholder. When you see that changing color, that gives you the control to delete that little print. Okay, so let's talk about the other hidden objects that can get in our way or help us a lot. On the home ribbon, in the paragraph group, there's something that looks like a little paragraph return, it looks like a column. Go ahead and click that, and that's called ShowHide. ShowHide shows you all that hidden markup. So every time there's a space, you see a dot, okay? But it's in the middle of the line, so you know it's not a period. If I were to go to my second page, and you'll see all these hidden markup things are going on. If I hit the tab key, a tab is denoted by an arrow. A regular return, which means that it would have the leading paragraph space before and after, is that column ShowHide symbol. And if I hold down the shift key and enter, I get what's called a manual break. That's really helpful if you don't want that leader space in between your paragraphs, but you don't want to create a new style. You just want to have that next bit of text down on the next line. The other hidden object or hidden markup, if you want to organize information, you'll create a table. I'm going to insert a table. Just draw a quick. So when your table is selected, you have the Design and Layout tab showing, and this is using Microsoft Windows 2013. It's very similar on 2010 and 2007. In the Layout tab for your table, in the first group, there's a box called View Grid Lines. So you think, okay, I don't see any difference now that grid lines are on or off. I don't see any difference. But that's because this table itself had lines. Let's take the grid lines off. Let's use this little marker up in the corner that in Excel would look like the Move tool, but in a table, in Word, it selects the whole table. I'm going to go to Design, and I'm going to go to Borders, and I'm going to choose No Border. So now you see these little squares, and the only reason we see those little squares is because ShowHide is turned on. If I take ShowHide off, you don't even see that there's a table there. So I hope maybe it's starting to click as to why this ShowHide is important. You can see things that are affecting your text and the rest of your document, even though they're not visible to you. So I'm going to click back on the table so I can get the table controls back. And I'm going to go to Layout, and I'm going to click View Grid Lines. And now you'll see little dotted lines. They don't print. They're just guidelines. So even if I were to go back and turn off ShowHide, you still see that there's a table on that page. So let me turn ShowHide back on again. You'll see the section break for the next page, this section on images. Up until 2010, when you brought in a picture, you would see the wrap text was denoted by that little dog symbol that looked like it was on a postcard, and it was called wrap text. It's still called wrap text, but now the symbol is more like this little rainbow arc to show how the text wraps around that image. By default, all of the images come in line with the text, which means that it doesn't wrap very well. It's either text or image, and that's why people get really frustrated with Word and go to Publisher for their publications, because they just can't get their images to work. So I'm coming down to the end of my document, and I'm going to copy this text. And this is where you've downloaded it yourself, I hope, and you can copy that text yourself and paste it into a new document. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just highlight this text, and I'm going to add some word art. So that's on the insert ribbon, and it's this funny little A. And I'll just use some word art. It's huge. I really don't want it to be that big, so I'll tone it down a little bit to 20. That's fine. I want all of these little headers above my bulleted areas to be the same style, so I'm going to highlight it. I'm holding down my Control key. If you were using a Mac, of course, that's going to be the Command key. And I'm going to highlight each bit. And now I'm going to apply style to each of all of those at one time from the home ribbon. In the styles group, I'm going to all give them the heading 2 style. So now you can see that they're all styled with that same blue, that same font. And that's matched to the theme that is the default, which is the Microsoft Office theme. So on the design ribbon, you can go to the themes section and choose a different theme. What's interesting with themes is that it contains not only font choices, but color schemes to go along with your entire document. So you can see your word art changes. If you see down here, your heading 2 would change, and also your normal text. Okay, all of that would change with the new theme. So I'm going to just choose, this is Vapor Trail, and I have a few spaces here. Oops. Alrighty. So let's say that I wanted to change the heading to style. Okay. The easiest way to do that is to select the text that you want to change. Okay. Maybe you want to change the font size, and let's just say the font color as well. So that's our new heading 2 style. We want everything to be styled that way if it's heading 2. So the easiest way to do that is to right click on your heading 2 style on your styles menu to choose update heading 2 to match selection. And now you'll see everywhere that you had heading 2 invoked, it's updated and changes. So you can get the idea that, wow, you can really add consistency and style to your whole presentation very easily. If for whatever reason you like the colors but you don't like the fonts, you can change the fonts that are part of your theme. But if you have updated a style within your theme to something particular, that won't change. That font will stay the same because you overrode the presets. So that's important for you to know. Images. Let's bring in an image, and something that's really nice, you can insert a picture or an online picture. You can also insert a screenshot. So if I wanted to insert, say, a screenshot it would show me other applications that were open. And I could choose, hey, my website. Okay, so here's my website, and what's highlighted here is the document that I'd suggest you download so you can practice this yourself. Okay. Once the picture is in here, there are lots of controls under the picture table tools and formatting, such as cropping. You can do some basic cropping, so you can get rid of the backgrounds that you don't want. These are just built-in tools to the Microsoft products now. Once you're done with the cropping, turn it off. You're probably very familiar with all the new frames that you'll see in PowerPoint, and they're here in Word as well. You can add an artistic effect. So if you wanted to do something special with it, you can hover over and see what that would look like. Or if you wanted to colorize it to match the rest of your document. Maybe you brought something in that doesn't quite flow with the rest of your document. You could just pick a color wash. Okay. And of course, you can always resize. But here's the important thing. Okay. How the text wraps compared to the image. So you can see that this pushed it down on its own page because it put it in line. I'm going to choose the text wrap to tight. I'm going to choose tight. And you'll see that it popped it all the way up to the top of the page. But now you can see that I can pick it up and I can move it wherever I want. So I'll just bring that right next to images. You'll see it brings a little line here that's aligning, so I get an idea of where it's going to be. And that's how easy it is to adjust images in Word. Once you change the wrapping to be tight, or top and bottom, or through, you just have to move your image around and then you will find the best layout for you. Tables. Okay. Tables are a great way to organize information. Bring a closer look at this. So if I take off the ShowHide, you'll see that here's sort of a schedule for the week of people and when they're working, and you'll see it doesn't align beautifully. But if I put on ShowHide, you'll see that there's really a tab between each item. So what I'm going to do is select all of this, and I'm going to go to Insert, Table, and say Convert Text to Table. And I'll just click OK. Because I put that image in, I have my table is splitting between two pages, but that's okay. What I'm going to do is show you what a section break would look like. So I'm going to now insert a break. I'm going to put in a section break. So if I go to Page Layout and Breaks, you'll see there are a number of different kinds of breaks. The most important ones for you to know about are page, column, and section. Reason being, a page break will just move your content after that point onto the next page. Your headers and footers will have to stay the same whenever a page break is involved, as far as the orientation of the numbers and things like that. All right. A column break will break up text on a page into as many columns as you want. So it's not a table, but it will actually roll the information in a column format, and it can be very helpful in the right application. The section break for next page allows you to change the formatting in the headers and footers from section to section. So the perfect example is the sample that you have downloaded. You'll see on the table of contents page that it begins with a Roman numeral, and then normal numbering begins, and then at the appendix where we copied and pasted our information, A and B. So the numbering can only restart or change when there is a section break. If you are doing a larger document, you can drive yourself crazy if you don't understand the difference between a page break and a section break. So I'm going to do a next page section break here. And now my whole table is down on the next one. Okay. So when I select that table, I could do everything I would want to do with the table. I could give it formatting. I could do whatever I wanted. Conversely, if you have a table and you need to get it out of the table, you just want the plain content, and for some reason it's in a table and it shouldn't be, select your table, go to the Layout tab and go to Data. You can convert this back to text. And you can insert a chart and pick whatever type of chart. People like pie charts, even though they don't tend to tell the best data in the best way possible, but they look nice, and if you're only talking about one point, it's helpful. What's great is that it opens a little mini Excel worksheet in Word that you can update and change however you need to, and it'll be reflected in your chart. Also, if you were to create this chart in Excel and you copy and you paste it back into Word, it's terrific because it'll update based on your theme choices and colors. So there are some options here based on the theme that I've already chosen, but I'm deciding that I don't like that pie color scheme. So one of the things I can do is change the colors here, and it'll keep it in a palette that's still complementary to our chosen theme, or I could change the theme altogether. So columns, I'm going to select all of my text except for my title, and I'm going to show you what columns look like. I'm going to go to Page Layout, and I'm going to go to Columns, and I'm going to choose a 3-column layout. And you'll see it's taken all of the text and put that into 3 columns. What I'm also going to do is change my orientation from portrait to landscape. And you'll see that although my chart isn't fully displayed, we can adjust that, and then it will. And now my picture is also rather large, and I want to move it, but I can do that as well. You see that you're going to get 3 columns. Now, because we don't have quite enough information for 3 columns, I'm going to practice my skill, and I'm going to go back and change the body text from 10 to 16. And then I'm going to change that to update the normal to match the selection. So everything was 16. And you're saying, well, why is there a break here? Why does this table go on the next page? And of course the table looks terrible. And that's because you put in a section break to next page. We get rid of that section break. Let's talk about headers and footers now. I double clicked on the footer section. I'll take off the ShowHide so you don't see as much markup. So we see the footer section here. And if I come down to the footer section, you see that it's the same as previous. It's the same as previous, but it's a new section, which means it starts over. So I'm going to click on the same as previous. Well, first I'm going to select this header and footer. First I'm going to select this page numbering to show you what I've done here. I'm going to go to the design and the page number. I'm going to click Format Page Number and see what happens. So you can see that this section is starting at A. Every section is going to start at A. So I'm continuing from the previous section, and I click OK. And now you'll see that it's changed to a B. And this is a C because it's the same as the previous section. And here's a D. If I want it to be different, I want to change the numbering. Notice this is not a page, but a section. So footer section 2, all of this is the same section. I want footer section 2 to behave differently than footer section 1. So I'm in the footer section, and I'm going to look at the design. I'm going to take a look at the top here, and I'm going to, normally you could see this a little larger, but again I've changed my view. We want to break the link to the previous section. Notice we've only broken the link in the footer, not in the header. So that means that anything that was on the header in section 1 would still be on the header of section 2. But now, if I were to change something here, I'll delete. Take a look, you'll see that the footer is still in the section 1, but it's gone from all the subsequent pages for section 2 and section 3 because that was linked to the previous. Okay, so now what we'll do is come back to the first page in section 2 and we'll add a new page number. So we will go to page number and we'll just say in the current position and we'll just call it page 1. Okay, so it still picked up the B, so I'm going to just select that and change the format. So instead of ABC, it's 1, 2, 3. Okay. Or it could be Roman numerals. Alrighty. And then we're going to start at page 1. Say OK. So then we have page 1, 2, and 3. Alrighty. So this takes a little practice. Sometimes, if it's a fairly simple document, you can just choose a different first page numbering so that your cover doesn't have a numbering. And you can also have different for odd and even pages, so if you always want the numbering on the outer edge. Finally, let's add a table of contents to this document based on our styles. What we're first going to do is come up to the top. We're going to turn on ShowHide so we can see, oh, that's why there's so much white space on this page, because there's a section break. Because at this point, we changed the landscape, we changed the orientation of the page to landscape. I'm going to just hit enter so I can get my cursor here above that section break. And I'm going to go to references and table of contents. And I'm just going to choose contents. An automatic table of contents is generated based on our, if I go back to the home ribbon and turn off this markup, you'll see it's a very clean with leader dot table of contents. I'm going to just come down here, and we only used one heading style 2, but let's show you what would happen if we change this to say heading style 1, and then said styles was a subcategory of word art, so that's heading style 2. And we'll say that themes is a subcategory, heading style 3. We'll say images is a primary, heading style 1. So 1 down to 5 or 6 is the order of importance. We'll do another heading style 1. And we'll leave those 2 as 2s, and we'll make this one a heading style 3. To really illustrate. So you notice that the font changes, it's very consistent with the look and feel of our document, but most importantly is if we were to update this table and update the entire table, you'll see that the page numbers stay the same, but the indentation changes so that anything that was heading style 1 is outdented, it's the most important. And then as each style afterwards comes down as a sub-style, it becomes indented automatically. So if you've never played around with an automatic table of contents based on styles, you really should take the time to explore. So that's a really quick overview of the most important things that you need to master if you want to be considered a Microsoft professional. I hope you found this video helpful, or this series of videos, because I see how long it is, so I'll probably chunk it up. And if you have any questions, you can visit my website at sandymcvey.com. Sandymcvey. Thanks. Have a great day.